Okay, so the Giants have obviously sucked for the vast majority of the last decade, outside of two seasons, 2016 and I guess 2022, where they made the playoffs. 2016, they lost in the first round. 2022, they beat the Vikings and then got their ass kicked by the Eagles. And then 2023 was, yeah, it was bad. It was not fun. And I genuinely think that this season they are going to outperform expectations. A lot of people have them as the worst team in the NFC somehow, even though the Panthers and the Saints exist. People think that Washington is going to do better than them. And this all might be, freezing cold takes, whatever, in maybe even like after week 3, this is going to look bad. But I genuinely think that there are a lot of signs as to why this team is going to be good, and a lot of this is also like a reaction of the 3-part series that Ty Dunn did on the Giants for his Substack. So yeah, this is like a combination of those two things, because a lot of my information and things that I'm hearing are from there, since it's the most recent, like, long form piece put out by the team or about the team. So let's get right into it. First of all, this is the first year where the roster is, solely put together by Joe Shane. Only 6 players remain from the Dave Gettleman administration. Dexter Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Andrew Thomas are 3 of those guys. Darius Slayton is also included. I can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head. So those are all like guys that you want to be your franchise players. Now, obviously, Daniel Jones is up for debate whether he's a franchise guy or not, considering that they very much wanted to move up and trade for a quarterback and get Drake May. So this roster is Joe Shane's, and like I've said this to so many people, Joe Shane, Joe Biden took over for their egomaniac predecessors, and had to spend the first year or two just cleaning up the mess. So they finally done that. So this is like Joe Shane's team. His first draft class is going into year 3. They can finally start making an impact. That's guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, Wan'Dale Robinson, and hopefully Evan Neal can do something to salvage his career, because so far that is not going well whatsoever. Secondly, if we just look at organizational culture, it is so much better. Many scouts have opened up about the fact that they literally were scared under Dave Gettleman and would change their rankings and rank people the way that he saw it, just to not get yelled at and not be eviscerated in front of their peers. Now, as we've seen in literally anything in society ever, when everybody starts thinking the same way, shit goes downhill very quickly. And that's what happened with the Giants under the Dave Gettleman administration, so to speak. So that's gone. Now we have like a culture where disagreeing and having that conversation is encouraged, to the point where Joe Shane will have one-on-one Zoom meetings with the scouts so that they can talk about what they're seeing. They're encouraged. They're not like cut off from everything when they're traveling all over the country the entire college football season, which will help. And, we've seen that because the draft classes have genuinely been good so far. And then when we talk about coaching, Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year after his first season because he took them to the playoffs and won a playoff game. However, last season might have been an even better coaching job, because your quarterback's out, your best lineman is out, your running back is out, there's a million other things going wrong with the team, you're fighting your defensive coordinator in the media, yet you beat the Eagles, you beat the Packers, and you're a couple plays away from beating the Rams and the Bills, if not for Tyrod Taylor not, having some issues, especially against Buffalo. So last year, every single team in their second year, every single team under a second-year coach for the Giants has crumbled, and the coach has lost the locker room since Tom Coughlin left. It happened with McAdoo, it happened with Sherman, and it happened with Joe Judge. That didn't happen with Daboll. That says a huge thing about him. Also, that the New York media market hasn't gotten to him yet, because he's still the same Daboll that he was when he got hired, minus 80 pounds, I guess. And then, when we talk about the roster, obviously, the Giants wanted a quarterback. They were exploring a quarterback this season. This offseason, we saw it in Hard Knocks. They didn't end up getting one. They still have Daniel Jones for another year. They can get out of the deal for almost no dead money after this season, as long as he doesn't get hurt again. But now you have a pissed off Daniel Jones. And same thing that happened in 2022 before the season when his option doesn't get picked up. This is Daniel Jones fighting for his career and his spot on this team. And we've seen that lead to good success previously. On top of that, you in the running back room, obviously you lose Saquon, but you have three really good options in Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, and Eric Gray, who all looked good in the preseason. Then you add Malik Neighbors onto this team, who is going to wear number 1. They unretired it, so that's going to give him a huge bump anyways. Probably going to have like a top 5 selling jersey in the NFL by October. But this is the best receiver that Daniel Jones has had his entire career, and he's a rookie. So if Daniel Jones lasts more than this season, that can be a really good pairing. If not, we get someone else in there and they can hang out with Malik Neighbors. So as your weapons on offense, you have Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt, Devin Singletary, the other 2 running backs as well, Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, Wan'Dale Robinson, and you have some interesting options like Isaiah Hodgins on the practice squad as well. So this is probably the best receiving core that he's played with. Not to mention the best offensive line due to the additions of John Runyon, Jermaine Illuminor, and a couple other guys that they've added as depth pieces so that one injury doesn't make them punt the entire season like last year when Andrew Thomas got hurt. The team has also done more 11-on-11s this offseason to improve toughness because that was a huge problem last year. They got their ass kicked in Detroit in joint practices, which is why they had to prove a point this year, which led to all the fights. And defensively, you have probably the best defensive line that this team has had since 2012. Brian Burns is a top 7 edge rusher in the NFL. Dexter Lawrence is the best interior lineman in the NFL. Kayvon Thibodeau is your young and up-and-coming player. And then you find Elijah Chapman in undrafted free agency, and he is catching up the running backs 40 yards down the field in the preseason and playing his ass off. So hopefully he is starting on that defensive line at some point this season because he's going to be phenomenal, I think. And all of that, so to speak, is like this team is talented enough. This is probably the most talented roster that the Giants have had in a really long time. And this is probably the best coaching that they've had since Coughlin left. So, not even probably. This is by far the best coaching that they've had since Coughlin left. And Dable is calling plays now, which is really important. This is what got him hired. This is what fixed Josh Allen. So, I'm very hopeful for this season. I'm feeling very optimistic right now as of Thursday, August 29th. The season starts in a week. The Giants play their first game in 9 days. Let's go. I firmly believe that this is a 9-win football team and can sneak into the playoffs as a wild card and make some noise. I most likely will be proven wrong because it's the Giants and they do this to me every year. But as of right now, let's fucking go. I cannot wait for this season to start. Peace.